Yo, what's going on, everybody? You are watching Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, we got a bunch of news to talk about, and specifically some good news for the Minnesota Vikings. We're going to start off today's show talking about Matt LaFleur, actually, Green Bay Packers head coach, and why he is possibly on the hot seat. Then I do want to dive into the NFC North and discuss why it is still wide open for the Vikings and wide open for any team in this division. Then we'll talk about the final injury reports for the Bears and the Vikings. And also, I do want to show some love to Jalen Redmond. There's some good advanced stats out there really showing how much 61 is dominating at the interior of the defensive line this season. But speaking of the Week 11 matchup against the Chicago Bears, if you guys want the Vikings to hop back in the win column, move to 500 on the season, go down there, hit that thumbs up icon. Our bosses challenge us here at Chat Sports to pick up 500 likes on today's show. So if you guys could help me out, make me look good for my bosses, it would be greatly appreciated if you guys could hit that thumbs up icon. So let's talk about the first segment here on today's show. It might be a little bit of a longer episode, but I do want to talk about Matt LaFleur and the Green Bay Packers. So this was a bit of a shocker to me, and there were some rumblings before the Monday Night Football game between the Packers and the Eagles that LaFleur could possibly be on the hot seat. I didn't really want to put too much stock into it because I thought it was just a ludicrous report out there. But after the Packers, their offense only put up 7 points against the Eagles, they were struggling. There was reports out there that Matt LaFleur could be coaching for his job for the remainder of the season. My message to the Packers, please fire him. I think Matt LaFleur is a hell of a head coach. I think there would be 23 teams in the NFL right now that would fire their head coach immediately to get a chance just to hire Matt LaFleur. I think he's a top 10 coach in the league, a young, great offensive mind. He's always had good run games. He's always, developed quarterbacks well, and it's a bit of a shocker that he's on the hot seat. Maybe saying, well, why is he on the hot seat? Honestly, I just think Packers fans, and I think that fan base as a whole, is they're seeing Jordan Love be super inconsistent. They're seeing the offense be very inconsistent so far this season. They're chalking it up to their head coach, which I think is a little ridiculous. I think the Packers' fault so far this season is mainly on Jordan Love being inconsistent. They lost Tucker Kraft for the year, their best weapon. They still don't have that true wide receiver one. And Josh Jacobs, still a fine running back, still probably top 15 in the league, but he has taken a step back from what he was back last year in 2024. So if he is possibly on the hot seat and you would remove an elite head coach from the division, like that would be great news for Vikings fans. Because you look at the head coaches in this division, like Dan Campbell, I think he's top 5 in the league. Ben Johnson looks very promising. And obviously LaFleur, I think he's one of the better head coaches. And obviously our head coach, Kevin O'Connell, he is one of the better head coaches. So if you could somehow remove LaFleur from this division, it would be awesome. But I just still think it's nuts that Packers fans are calling for this guy's job instead of holding their quarterback accountable in Jordan Love. So I thought that was interesting. But I do want to talk about the NFC North here. And why is it still wide open for the Minnesota Vikings? And you may be saying, well, that's ludicrous. The Vikings are 4-5. And I hear you. But the Vikings are 2-0 in the division. And you are 3-point favorites this weekend at home against the Chicago Bears. If you win this football game, you move the 3-0 on the year in the division. Then you're in Lambeau next week. If you could somehow go 2-0 over the next 2 weeks, you move the 6-5 on the season, and you could somehow have a 4-0 record in the NFC North, and you already beat the Lions in Detroit, and then your next 2 games to close out the year in the division are the Packers and the Lions at home. Now, obviously, it's easier said than done to go beat the Packers in Lambeau, but they look like a gettable football team right now. I just think the talent offensively is not to what they had over the last couple of years. Like, I think Jordan Love, his confidence is shot right now. Now, he is a very up-and-down quarterback, very inconsistent, so he could get hot for a random game. But if he has a bad game, like, it would not shock me the Vikings go in there and win kind of a rock fight, slugfest game. And just the NFC North is also wide open for any team. Like, if you told me the Bears are going to win this division, if you told me the Lions, Packers, or even the Vikings are going to win the division this year, you can make an argument for any of those teams. Now, I still think, more likely than not, it will be Detroit hosting that NFC North title yet again. But still, NFC North is wide open. Some good news here. And also, I was going back and I was watching the QB School did a film breakdown on J.J. McCarthy. Quick thoughts here. JJ's got a long way to go. But he did show flashes. And I think I would rather have JJ, like, yes, some of the bad was really bad, but at least the good was really, really good. Like him making big-time throws, tight window throws, anticipation throws. Now it's going to come down to JJ. He's been moving off his first read very, very quick. And we've seen once he starts to get hit throughout a game, like he can pull off that read and kind of get a little gun happy, which has obviously been a big reason why he has struggled to be consistent so far this season. But if he can just kind of harness it in just a little more, this Vikings team could start winning a whole lot of games. But I do want to share with you guys the latest injury news here. Not good news. Jonathan Greenard will be missing this weekend. Same with Ryan Kelly. Now, even though the Vikings opened up the 21-day practice window for center Ryan Kelly, he still won't be out there. And Jonathan Greenard kind of assumed he wasn't going to play, so that's a big loss. But this is now a big spot for Dallas Turner. Dallas Turner, he has been pretty terrible to start his NFL career. But he showed some flashes last week against Baltimore. He had that one big-time pass breakup, almost resulted in an interception. He had that sack on Lamar Jackson that was ended up calling back because of a BS roughing the passer call. But we saw that burst. We saw him getting off the line. We see his bend coming off the edge is absolutely ridiculous. Now, I think the key is with Turner this weekend. He has struggled setting the edge, and he has struggled being a solid run defender. And obviously the Bears having the fourth best rushing offense in the NFL, like that's going to be huge. But hopefully with Van Ginkel, he is off the injury report, which is also great news. And also Josh Oliver off the injury report to the Vikings. I mean, besides Greenard and Ryan Kelly, they're going to have absolutely everybody out there this weekend, which will be huge for this Vikings team. But again, my eyes are going to be on number 15, Dallas Turner, filling in for Greenard. Big time spot for him. Honestly excited for him to have this chance. And it's also the benefit of having three, I don't want to call Greenard or Turner an elite edge rusher, but three edge rushers that are promising. And it's not like you're going to like a drop off to like a Gabe Murphy or Tyler Batty. Like you still have a guy like Dallas Turner who you spent a premium draft pick on, the 17th overall pick in 2024. But I do think it's also huge. Josh Oliver being back. The Vikings want to run the football this weekend. Having the best run blocking tight end in the NFL will be absolutely massive. And, J.J. McCarthy was dealing with that bandage on his right hand, still wearing it. So I'm assuming KOC will obviously, it is in his DNA. He loves to pass the football down the field. But maybe this will force his hand a little bit to get the run game a little bit more going, go a little more ball control against this Bears team and try to shorten the game, limit possessions. So we'll see how that plays out. But very exciting stuff. Now, some Bears injury news here. Jalen Johnson did have his 21-day practice window open. That was a shocker. Now, he is not going to play against the Minnesota Vikings. At least I hope he doesn't, because Jalen Johnson, one of the better corners in the league, even though Jefferson's gotten the better of him in the past, but still, without Jalen Johnson, this Bears secondary, the talent advantage the Vikings have on the perimeter is absolutely huge. And one thought I had about this Vikings-Bears game is, the Vikings are 3-point favorites, so clearly Vegas is telling us if these two teams met on a neutral site, it would be about an even matchup. But the one advantage I think the Vikings have is I think the best unit in this entire game by far is the Vikings defense. Now, I think the Bears have a more complete team, like offensively and defensively? Yes, probably. But the Vikings defense, if they could put a strangled hold on this Bears offense and just keep them to under 20 points, the Vikings offense should get to 20 plus. Like, this Bears defense is horrible when they're not taking the football away. They're one of the worst teams in yards per play. They're one of the worst teams stopping the run, stopping the pass. Now, they're good situationally, good on third downs. They're number one in the league in takeaways. But again, takeaways, a little bit of a fluky stat. Always see turnover luck, revert, year in, year out in the NFL. And plus with the Viking side of things, they have had terrible turnover luck this year. They only have 3 interceptions. And for a Brian Flores defense, last year I think they had 18 picks, or maybe it was even more than that, but they were an elite takeaway defense last year, and that hasn't been the case. Now, I also think a big reason for that is the secondary taking a step back this current season. But if they can just take care of the football, I think it's as simple as this. The Vikings are still 33-4 when KOC wins or ties a turnover battle. If you win the turnover battle this weekend, I promise you will win this football game. If they somehow lose the turnover battle, or if they somehow win the turnover battle and lose the game, obviously would be a little nervous heading into the rest of the season. But pretty good news overall. The Vikings are getting healthy here. Now, I do want to close today's show out highlighting Jalen Redmond. So I was doing some just deep diving on some stats, and Jalen Redmond against the run this year has been absolutely ridiculous. He has the 4th best run-stop win rate in the National Football League at 44%. And that's also why the Vikings have the number 1 quick pressure rate in the NFL at 27.5%. Which is huge. It means they're generating pressures in under 2.5 seconds, 27% of the time. So their guys up front are winning. Now it's just going to come down to this weekend. Can you bring Caleb Williams to the ground? He's the best escapability quarterback in the NFL. He has broken the most tackles by 9 whole missed tackles this season in the league. Second is Josh Allen at 17, but Caleb Williams has 26. So bringing Caleb to the ground is not going to be an easy test, especially without Jonathan Greenard. That's going to be tough. But if the Vikings can still stop the run, I think having Cashman, Andrew Van Ginkel in the fold, Jalen Redmond playing some good football, even guys like Levi Drake Rodriguez, Javon Hargrave's been better as of late. So those guys are going to be huge up front, and you just got to keep this crowd into it because it is going to be a tight crowd. And I mean just tight as, pressure. If you get down early, boo birds may start coming out, and this team could combust, but you're going to have to start off hot. And if you just let the Bears come into your building, run the ball over and over again, 4 yards here, 5 yards here, they break one for 30, like the crowd can't get out of it, especially if the offense can't get going this weekend. It may be, maybe tight, maybe a lot of pressure for the Vikings this week. But so the Vikings this year on the season, they are third in pass rush win rate at 49% and run block win rate at 74%, both third in the league. So their guys are winning up front. It's just the secondary has struggled, giving up big plays over the middle of the field. And, Jalen Redmond's an awesome. He's got 22 pressures on the season, leading the Vikings in sacks with 4. But obviously the Vikings haven't been a great sack team this season, just guys all over, like Eric Wilson had 2 1 week. Redmond, mixing in a couple sacks here and there over the last couple of weeks. So, this is a big-time spot. I cannot preach that enough. Like, if you lose this game, playoff hopes are done, then the season really does just come down to, developing J.J. McCarthy and finding out if you have an answer at the quarterback position. But I'll let you guys chime in here. Predict the score for me. Vikings versus Bears. I have no idea how this game is going to go. If you told me the Vikings blow them out, if you told me the Bears blow them out, if you said the Vikings win tight, the Bears win tight, I could see this game playing out any different way. So you guys let me know. Predict the score for me. I'm going to stick with my guns here that I had on our preview. I had 27-24 in favor of the Vikings, but I don't know. Maybe that's a little too high scoring. Maybe it might be 21-20, more around there. But we'll wait and see what happens. Cannot wait. We'll be live an hour before kickoff this Sunday, so make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Tune in then. We'll get on out of here. As always, Skol Vikes.